Alright, so we're starting this one off a little bit different, and that is originally Jackie Chan's First Strike was picked to be this spot for 31 for 31, but it wasn't until I was about to start the film that I found out that, hey, this is actually Police Story 4. So I need to get Police Story 3. I didn't really have time to grab a hold of it before starting this journey. So we are going to re-roll for 31 for 31 and see what the new film is going to be. Next year, we'll do Police Story. I'll get Police Story 3. We'll do Police Story 3 and First Strike, which Police Story 3 is Super Cop, for those wondering. So here we are. We're going to roll the dice here and see what we get. We have up to 352 options. So 352, and let's see what we got. Okay, we got 177, which is Justice League versus the Fatal 5, a DC animation. Sure. Yeah, we'll do it. Sure. So the new film is going to be Justice League versus the Fatal 5. So hope you guys will enjoy this. I'm knowing this right now, so you guys should know when the title appears. So we'll do the thing. Let's watch the movie. Funny enough, with Justice League versus the Fatal 5, I actually bought the 4K combo pack with the action figure years ago, but never opened it. One day I decided to look it up on eBay and found out that because it was a limited run that it's actually selling for quite a bit, so I decided to sell it and just buy the regular one when I saw it was for $5.99. The film is about Starboy being sent to the past when the Fatal 5 show up. Starboy has to team up with the Justice League to take them down, and it was pretty fun. The DC animated lineup, for some reason, is just leaps and bounds better and more consistent than their live action, and that's the case here as well. The animation is standard WB DC animation, which I'm a fan of, before they kind of changed the art style to be more blocky. The action set pieces are a lot of fun, and what's nice is there's actually stakes here. I like it when you actually feel like there's actual consequences to actions, and that sometimes characters aren't safe. It helps add tension and excitement to the action set pieces while also helping push the narrative forward. Speaking of the narrative, it can be a little one-dimensional, but it's still solid and kind of a classic save the world superhero kind of story. The Fatal 5 don't really get much character development, but they do actually feel like a threat because they can match the superheroes in power and maybe even best them at times. It's also nice when a film doesn't spend time with exposition on establishing the characters in the Justice League. Like, we already know who they are and the film knows that we know who they are. I guess though this is a film that's a part of the Justice League Unlimited universe, which I haven't really seen much of, but it's not necessary. The film does a good enough job to stand on its own, and even when there are things that might come off a little like, who is this? It's pretty easy to assume. My biggest hang up in the film though is just Starboy. I honestly really hated him as a character. He's somewhat of like played off as a comic relief character, because see, he has to take this medicine or he becomes kind of crazy, and since he's back in time, he doesn't have access to that medicine anymore. These moments are played more for laughs and kind of puts him in the mind of someone like Jar Jar Binks or Ben, or so, you know, one of those kind of characters, which I just find to be super annoying. He's mainly here just for an exposition dump and to help close the plot, but outside of that, his character really seemed to serve no purpose. Every time he was on screen, he seemed to take away from the other characters that served the story more. Not only that, but I also really don't like when superheroes can basically have like limitless powers. And no, I'm not a Superman fan either. One character I didn't recognize, but I really liked was Jessica Cruz. That's this film's Green Lantern. She's not a version of the Green Lantern that I'm familiar with, but she's somewhat of the main character. She's the crux of the story, and I kind of liked her being somewhat indifferent to the Justice League. There's a part in the film where she tries to be the hero and it backfires, not going into spoilers, that I honestly thought was the best part of the film. It's a great character moment, but also mixes great emotion with familiar characters and action as well. It's a scene that really adds weight to the story, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of her character in other installments. I've been a fan of the DC animated lineup for quite some time. I've reviewed a bunch of them on this channel as well. There's a certain type of life in their animation lineup compared to their live action that they can just tonally shift better. They can handle more of the fantastic elements as well. And while Justice League versus the Fatal 5 isn't the best entry into the DC animated universe, it's still one that's worth checking out. It took me years to finally get around to it, but I had a good time with it. It's also on Max if you want to stream it, but for me, it's a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, 6.5 out of 10.